Hey everybody. Happy what is today? Thursday, almost Friday. Welcome to Case by Case. Welcome into the chat. Welcome mods. Tonight we have a pretty interesting show. Nothing crazy. Going to keep it drama free. So if you want to come in and learn and you want to talk Delphi, this is the place to be tonight. I have several guests with me, and I'm going to introduce them. Again, if you are not a member of the channel and you'd like to be, because we are starting to do some member-only lives, I put the link in the chat up at the top, and we're going to be dropping some links tonight for, I don't know, for those of you who follow Ashley's case, just Rhonda's here. She worked with us in the very beginning of Ashley's case. And Rhonda is covering the Daniel Holtzclaw case. He's a police officer from Oklahoma who was wrongfully convicted, and she's been working on his case for a very long time. So please check out her channel. The link will be in the chat. And we'll probably have some fun guests on tonight, on top of my ladies that I already have here. And I'm going to bring them on now. We'll bring on Rhonda because Rhonda's. Hey, Rhonda.
Hi, Amy. Hello, chat. Hello, mods. Hello, all panel.
Hello, Cherie.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Travis in chat. And Christine, aka Streets of Bakersfield. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
How's everybody's day been? Everybody in chat, how's your day been? It's raining here, so
We've actually had a lot of rain here too. I got called off work early because of a monsoon. It was my last day on this site, so it was perfect.
yeah. It was a monsoon when I walked out of work today too. I was like, really? Can I just get to the car?
It's not the season for monsoons. It was really weird. And it came out of nowhere. But it's the desert, so that happens a lot actually.
Suzik, we are covering the Delphi case tonight. It's kind of an ongoing case coverage that we do here on Case by Case. And this case is out of Indiana, Delphi, Indiana. We've covered, I would say, quite a bit of it. However, we just started. It's called the Delphi Vault. I believe we've done 3 episodes already. It's a series. And if you haven't checked that out, that's kind of starting the case from way back in the beginning. For those of you who are new to the channel, Rick Allen, who was tried and convicted in the Delphi case. Many of us believe that they have the wrong man. And after the trial, we still don't believe we know what happened to Abby and Libby out there on the trails. So the fight continues. And other nights of the week, I cover another case of another wrongfully convicted, which is Ashley Garth. And we're going to be adding another series here. I'll get to that a little later on. I'm going to wait and see if we have a special guest pop in. So does anybody have anything on the panel? Does anybody have anything to add? Hi, Michelle. Hi, Marianne, Thomas Scott. So anybody on the panel, anybody have anything to add tonight before we get started?
No.
I'm sure I'll be spending my opinion throughout.
Rhonda, you don't share your opinion.
That's why you have me here, right?
Is Travis gonna come on? Travis, come join us.
Yeah, Travis has got the link. I don't know if he's home yet or not. He was driving earlier. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about was we're going to do some map time with Google Earth. And I've actually been able to add by the way, I'm not going to say her last name, but there's a girl named Jennifer who shared her original Google Earth map with with a lot of the key points plotted out. And then she allowed me to edit it. So I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to her because her map is amazing. It saved me a lot of work. And she updates it. Now she's allowing me to update it. So it's getting kind of full. So we're going to look a little bit of that. We're going to look at that tonight. We're also going to listen to a little bit of Andrea Burkhart with Betsy Blair. I am very stuck on Betsy Blair's testimony in her eyewitness accounts from that day. We're going to talk a little bit about Sarah Carbal and the camera at Hoosier Harvest Store and look at some of those areas over there. And mainly, I want to discuss what everyone thinks how Muddy Bloody Guy not only got past the Hoosier Harvest Store camera, but how did he get past all of the vehicles parked at the Mears lot? And we know based on Sarah Carbal's testimony, there were people out there at the Mears lot. And I do have a list of the vehicles, some of the vehicles, not all of them, but that's not a very big lot. And so we're gonna discuss that. Hey, Court of Public Opinion, Thomas Scott, Deb. Hi, Kathy, Christy C. Hey, Shaboogies. So, Travis says he's going to pop in a bit. He's home, but in a tornado warning zone, have to wait, make sure animals are all secure. Absolutely. I think they got them all secure. I'm listening in. Okay. No worries. Stay safe, Travis. So does anybody have, before I get started, anybody in chat have anything to offer up? Anything good or any suggestions for tonight? The Court of Public Opinion already is stating what we might consider a fact, and that is there was no bloody guy. Skeptic curiosity. Anyone who truly wants justice for Abby and Libby and Rick should be willing to share information and resources. Those that copy strike and don't share aren't here for the girls. Thanks to all who are. Absolutely, skeptic curiosity. I have already made it very clear that my Delphi Vault PowerPoint presentation I will make public once it's finished. I've let multiple creators use things off my channel. It doesn't bother me at all. But I do always try to ask if I need to use somebody else's. Just, common courtesy.
Do you hear that? It's coming down here from the desert. There's thunder. Oh my God. We don't ever get thunder in California, sorry.
Hey, Michael. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Lisa. Okay, well, let's get started. Let me see. Where do I want to go first? First of all, let's start with Betsy Blair. And I'll just take a minute to discuss. So after listening repeatedly to all of the witnesses' statements, clearly we all know that the three girls that took the stand that claimed they saw Bridge Guy, every single one of them had a different description, and not one of them described him as small or short. They all described him as either tall, thick, or muscular, which to me is a very, I'm only 5'1". And anytime I see a man that's even remotely in my eye peripheral, like this here, I immediately think, oh my God, he's really short for a guy. And I think that Rick Allen kind of constitutes that. Would you guys agree? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that Rick Allen would be considered, just to the average. I'm going to say average. Let's just say this for as a female. Even though I'm only 5'1", I would recognize a short male. And I think any girl who's like 5'4" or taller, which a couple of these girls were, would absolutely consider Rick Allen a very short man, not tall, not thick or muscular. So does everyone agree with that? Yeah. Everyone's saying yes. So we know that those girls all were, but they were young. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They were young. I'm sure, over the years, their memory kind of got sketched. Now for Betsy Blair, I feel that, with her being an adult and her being consistent based on all of the statements that I've been able in writing to track down over the years, which I'm going to pull up, that holds a lot more water and weight with me. I don't know how you guys feel about Betsy Blair, but that's my opinion. And hey, R&M. Hey, Angela. That's fine. You can hop in and out all you want, honey. Hey, Judge Jessica. But I think for me, what personally stood out was that even over the course of all of these years, Betsy Blair didn't waver on her description of the bridge guy, and she didn't waver on her description of the vehicle that she saw at the CPS building. And not only did she not waver, but she really came under the gun by, she was first a state witness and then had to be recalled to basically have the defense be able to ask her those important questions, because clearly the state wasn't going to ask her about her description of the car. And so they brought her back. So that to me shows a little bit of, a little bit of stamina with her as far as, her memory and the type of person that she is. Is on panel, how do you guys feel about that?
I think the same. I find what she says more trustworthy than some of them. Like Sarah, Sarah Carbal, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much.
Right, not so much. The only thing and I'll say this before we even get into, because we'll get into Sarah Carbal next. The only thing that I'll say about Sarah Carbal that makes me go, is the fact that they did claim that her phone pinged in the area. And then it was followed up with the fact that several of her family members pinged in the area because they live out there. So I don't know what the radius is. If anybody in chat knows, Osbrook, do you know what the radius?
The Carbals are old school in Delphi. They've been around a while. I've done the genealogy of like everyone.
So does anybody know the radius of that? Like if you're driving down 300, what is the radius of your phone pinging on that tower? Because I think that she said she drove by 4 times. Was that her last drive by? It might have been. So let me pull up Betsy Blair statements. Here's the first one. I'm going to take myself off camera real quick. So this is from the Delphi Vault. We went over this in episode 3. So during Betsy Blair's March 7th, 2017 interview, and for those of you who are new, who are not familiar with the dates of this case, Abby and Libby went missing on Monday, February 13th, 2017. They were out of school for the day. They were missing overnight, and they were found the next day on the 14th. So this interview with Betsy Blair, a witness out on the bridge or out on the trails that day on the 13th, gave the statement that she was talking to 2 members of the Unified Command, which were law enforcement and detectives working the case. She was speaking to Kevin Hammond and Tony Liggett. At this interview, Betsy Blair told Liggett face to face that the man Betsy Blair, observed on the High Bridge fit the following description. The man was slender and youthful looking. He was more boyish looking. The man was in his 20s to early 30s. His hair seemed poofy, just as the sketch portrayed. He had no facial hair that she can remember. So that was on March 17th. So we're talking, what, 20, 30 days after the encounter. So does anybody in chat or even on panel know, in February of 2016, does anyone know if Rick Allen had facial hair? I know I've got several pictures. I would have to go back and look. I just personally don't remember off the top of my head. Nobody knows in chat? In February, around February of 2017, did Rick Allen have facial hair or a beard?
I think he had a goatee, didn't he? That one picture that they released of him with the hair that was longer and spiked. When was that from?
I'd have to go back and look. I was just hoping somebody in chat had. Deb says, I don't know. It would just take me a minute. Yeah, Thomas Scott said he thinks he had a goatee. So Betsy Blair does not describe a man on the bridge as having a mask on his face, because I don't think that she would be able to describe whether or not he had facial hair. So there's that statement from Betsy Blair. And then there's this statement. This Betsy Blair's first description of the man she saw on the bridge. So this is a different recollection. And to be honest, I'm not sure where these statements initially came from. These have just kind of been collected over the years. But her first description of the man she saw on the bridge was memorialized in sketch number 2, illustrated on February 17th, 2017, 3 days after the girls were found. So apparently this was her first initial discussion about her encounter with seeing the bridge guy. So it was 3 days after the girls were found. This sketch was not released to the public until April 22nd of 2019. Betsy Blair met with state police sketch artist Taylor D. Bryant and provided a description of the man she observed from 50 feet away on the Monon High Bridge. The same man that Liggett claimed in his affidavit was the killer. Betsy Blair told the sketch artist that the man Betsy Blair, observed was a white male, age 20, and had brown curly hair. So the interesting thing, here, let me pull this down. For me, the interesting thing for me about that April 22nd, 2019 press conference is the fact that it is literally 18 days after Garrett Curts was arrested in Newton County. Garrett Curts was arrested on April 1st, and I believe that because of him in his interrogation videos bringing up the Delphi case, that they really suspected that he was involved. And from the Delphi vault, we have the pictures of Garrett Curts. So these 3 images up here at the top, the middle one is Betsy Blair's sketch. This was the first sketch ever made in the Delphi case, but it was not the first sketch released. This sketch wasn't released until April 22nd, 2019. A little over 2 years after the crime had happened. And these are pictures of Garrett Curts, one on each side. And the first one here is he's about a month before the murders. And the one on the right is about a month and a half after the sketch came out. So this is, I believe, why a lot of people really looked at Garrett Curts as a suspect. Lindsay said, "Oh my God, that's the dude." Exactly. I mean, there's no way a grown woman is going to mistake a grown man for a young boy. That to me is the biggest hang up about Betsy Blair's description.
Wait,
Hey,
do you think
Evil
maybe
Alaska. Huh?
do you think maybe Rick's size made is what she was talking about when she said youthful in appearance was because he's so short?
Mm,
Every time I
I
saw
don't
Rick,
know. I don't know, but
I'm just wondering. I'm just throwing that out there.
when we listen to Andrea Burkhart go over Betsy Blair's testimony, she describes him like youthful, clean shaven, and like a 10, like a good looking guy. I don't I don't believe that a grown woman would see even you can tell, I mean, by someone's features. And she's describing poofy hair. We know Rick Allen did not have poofy hair, number one. And then and she was asked, I believe, by the defense on their cross if he was wearing a hat, and she said no. She said no. But then later, after redirect was over, someone on the jury asked her, "Could what you thought was poofy hair be a hat?" And she said yes. Well, and that's one thing about this Sarah Carbal, is because she described a man who had a hat, a weird hat. She went into detail about the fact that she's a baseball cap girl. Hey, Sean, Bianchi. Hey, Lowered Customs. Hey, Adjusted Fate. But Sarah Carball described a guy with weird, sketchy posture, and that he had a odd hat on with a bill. With a bill. So that means he, it was either some sort of a like a golfer's hat or a ball cap. I know a lot of people have looked at the cap that Ron Logan wears with the emblem on the front. But the fact that if she was put on the stand, although even let's just pretend that she did see somebody. That doesn't make her credible in the muddy bloody statements that she made. And we'll go over that timeline tonight too. But she definitely describes a hat with a bill. So we all know that in the interrogation videos, Rick claimed that he kept a skull cap in his pocket. He didn't remember if he was wearing a hat or not, but he always kept a skull cap in his pocket. USA Libertarian. I'm not sure. I'm not aware that they showed witnesses, pictures of other males that were out there on the trails. And yes, Betsy Blair also stated that he did not have blue eyes. Doxy Mom says, does anyone think that there's more than one BG video? I do. Well, we know that there's more than one as far as the original and the enhanced. As far as additional footage from that day, I'm going to have to say I don't believe so. I think that there's enough questionable things in this case to not go down we can't go down every single rabbit hole. I think it's been discussed on this channel. It's been discussed by many people. I just think that in the very beginning of this case, when they pulled that snippet from Libby's phone, that the image that we got back in 2017, I think as far as the cover up and the corruption, that took time to evolve. I don't believe that they found the girls and immediately knew who did it and knew they had to do something to cover it up. I think that it was something that happened over time. At least, I mean, if not, we are dealing with a high targeted hit here of 2 little girls. Yes, every single one of them described that the BG was wearing something different. In fact, I think that Betsy Blair even described BG as wearing black jeans. Yet, they all claimed when they seen the photo of BG that was the guy that they saw. So how do you reconcile those things? And no, I agree, Michelle. Absolutely agree, Michelle. RA would not be considered a young guy. Middle age, yes, but not young. Yeah. Well, Christy C, they could have done a lineup. They probably chose not to, just because I think probably in that first week they were scrambling. This was a huge case. So Indy Cindy, hello. According to Garrett Curts, he claimed that the FBI told him that his phone pinged out there. Yes. Now, we all know that law enforcement can lie during an interrogation. We all know that Garrett was being interviewed, multiple times during his incarceration leading up to the Nicole Bowen case. He was doing interviews on Open Secrets where he was absolutely discussing Delphi. He claimed he didn't know where he was. It wasn't his responsibility to prove where he was. He was higher than a kite on Spice. We do know that he was very, very friendly and familiar with Ron Logan. We know that he knew Ron Logan's property like the back of his hand. In those interviews, he describes running amok along the trails, riding four-wheelers on the bridge, riding horses out there. So he was very familiar with the bridge and the trails and Ron Logan's property. That's what we do know. Do we know 100% sure that his phone was in the geofencing? We don't. I don't recall them finding that type of hat at RA's home. No.
Michael just asked the same thing that I was thinking. So did anybody ask Betsy Blair if that was BG, or when Rick got to court or asked him or was arrested, is that who you saw? Like, have we heard any follow-ups from Betsy Blair?
I don't believe that Betsy Blair has ever spoken out publicly. I believe at trial. I'll pull up, because I think our best resource on this is going to be Andrea Burkhart as far as detail. But I do believe that she was asked in court, or she made the statement in court, that when she saw the picture of BG on the news, she recognized that as being the individual that she saw on the bridge. So, however, on both cross and direct, she describes a younger male. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Let me see. I have it time. I think I have it.
I haven't heard thunder and lightning like this in a long time, so you might lose me. You lost me earlier because of it, but I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
But I should be okay.
If we lose you and I don't realize it because I have so many things uploaded, like I might not see you gone and then see you come back in, just post in the chat.
Okay.
So let's take a listen to what Andrea Burkhart had to say, about describing the details in the testimony of Betsy Blair. You said, but did Becky, well, let's listen. Give me just a second. I need to make sure that I get us where we need to be.
She confirmed that the timestamp on her Snapchat photo was accurate. Mr. Baldwin did the cross-examination of this witness, and he started by going to the big photo of Bridge Guy that's being displayed in court and pointing to it and saying, "This is the guy who creeped you out, right? This guy here on Exhibit 210. Yes, it was." She had previously described the guy as she stood as tall as his upper forearm. Or the defense did not elicit this. It came out on direct examination.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get where we need to be.
Mr. Baldwin did the cross-examination, established that she had an unobstructed view of the man on the platform, around at the barricade. She's just described his head or nose. She could not really see his hair, said the jacket was blue or black. So
okay, well, we're going to listen from here.
It's very, very peculiar. She did acknowledge that it was possible that seeing that picture of a Bridge Guy influenced her memory, like I said. The next witness was Breanne Wilbur, who was also out there on the trail with them. She was 6. So she had learned that Libby was going to be a much taller man. Said that he was muscular. He was a younger guy. Believed that she might have told
This isn't
police
Betsy
that he
Blair.
was
This
in
is
his early
this is
30s,
Bree
but
Wilbur.
she was saying, but that was 3 years later. She's kind of making some excuses for what she had told police before. She said he had something on his head, so she wasn't able to see the hair. And then the last time that the last question that he asked her was if she had seen a guy around 20 with brown poofy hair. And she had not. This is going to another description. Ms. Diener on redirect just established that nobody else on the trail looked like the Bridge Guy photo. Nobody else that she saw. So the final witness of the day, no, it was not the final witness of the day. The second to last witness of the day was Betsy Blair. We heard about Betsy Blair in the defense opening because the defense is very bullish on Betsy Blair and what she saw, specifically the description of a vehicle that she saw parked in the CPS lot. So Betsy Blair testified that she regularly went to the Monon High Bridge Trail in 2016. She had a regular route that she would walk, and basically she would go in the Mears Trail, she would walk down to the High Bridge, turn around, walk back to the end of she would turn and walk down to the end of the Mears Trail, walk back to the bridge trail, walk across Freedom Bridge all the way down to the end, and then walk back. And that was her loop. And that it was her routine to walk this loop 3 times. So that was her regular exercise. On February 13th, it was a little bit chilly. She had a Fitbit, so that was in part how she was able to track time and know where she was and what she was doing when she saw different things. So her Fitbit kept track of this data for her, and she provided the Fitbit data to police. She parked at the parking lot across from the Mears barn. She went down to the trail intersection, went down to the bridge. She turns around at the barricade. She's just describing the trail. So on February 13th, she did her first 2 loops and she didn't see anybody. She took a break, at which point she drove downtown. She went to the Delphi Library, and used the restroom, and then came back to do her 3rd loop. So on loop 3, when she went down to the high bridge, she saw somebody. She saw a man out on the bridge. He was out on a platform on the right-hand side. She estimated he was about 50 feet away. And she described him as if he was looking for somebody, because he was looking away, and then when he saw her approach, he turned and looked at her. They had, momentary kind of contact, and she just got the impression that he was like waiting for somebody or looking for somebody. On the way, so she saw the man, thought nothing of it, turned around, was walking back, and on her way back on her loop, she saw 2 girls who she later learned were Abby and Libby. And she passed them between the High Bridge and the Mears parking lot. They were just walking and chatting quietly and didn't seem to really notice her or pay attention to her.
Okay, so I'm going to jump over to the map really fast. So we can take a look at, I've got these kind of mapped out on here. So can everybody, I can't see panel and I can't see the chat, but can you guys see the map and see my mouse?
I can see
Somebody
it.
on panel, let me
I
know,
don't know.
because I can't
I
see
can
chat.
see it, but I don't know if it. I
I
mean, but
can,
I have it on my iPad. I'm doing both at the same time, so I can see the chat.
yeah, I can see it on YouTube, and yeah, we can see it.
Okay,
Move your
so
mouse.
okay, let me back out here a little bit. So you've got Mears lot right here, the red icon. This is where Betsy Blair parked. Cherie and I walked this, but we walked it at a very normal pace. We didn't speed walk, and I don't know how Abby and Libby, what their pace was, but at a normal pace from the Mears lot, where it's this yellow balloon right here. You pull in off of 300 and you park right there. Then you walk up this short path here, and when you get here, you turn left and you start walking down the path that takes you right out to the bridge. It took us roughly 8 minutes and 3 seconds from the Mears lot to here. So if Betsy Blair is standing here at the edge of the bridge, and you've got bridge guy standing right here on the first platform, and she turns around and begins to walk back, and she passes Abby and Libby, in her words, about halfway. We're talking 4, possibly 5 minutes of time. So we've got young bridge guy out here on the first platform. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Where did he go? Now, I also want to make it clear that when you are walking up to the bridge, let me pull this in a little bit closer. When you're walking up to the bridge, right as you're walking up to the very edge of the bridge, about 10 feet before you get there, you can see there is a clear path, like a walking path on your left-hand side, that takes you into the woods and you can walk all the way. There's several pathways through these woods here. So this young guy could have came right off the bridge.
I think he could have taken the
If
path on the side that goes to Ron
the girl,
Logan's. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, that's technically where this leads.
Okay, yeah.
It can go all the way over to Ron Logan's. Or did young bridge guy did he continue to cross the bridge? Because you have to imagine that, so Betsy Blair's passing the girls. So did the girls walk right into him and continue past him onto the bridge? Because remember, you've got Abby, if we believe the Snapchat photo to be real, Abby's on the bridge midway past the halfway mark at 2:07 p.m. So I'm going to go to chat. So everybody give me your thoughts. And first, let's start with this question in the chat. Do an emoji. I don't care what emoji, but do an emoji if you feel that this was a premeditated, pre-planned murder. Hey, Catastrophe. Just put any kind of an emoji. And by the way, guys, there are special emojis if you're a channel member that you can use. Hey, Julie.
Hey, Julie Melvin. Judge Jessica.
That's an interesting theory, Sean. Sean says, I believe the guy that Betsy saw was waiting on Rick. I believe he set Rick up. When Rick got there, the bridge guy was following the girls. Rick got there and thought he saw 3 girls on the bridge. Well, I don't think that Rick ever claimed to have said that he saw 3 girls on the bridge, but this is what we do know about the number of girls. We know that the girls leaving the trails, there were 4 of them. Rick claimed that he saw 3. Now, earlier in that day, there was a group of 3 girls that were out there on the trails. Do we know if these 3 girls are in fact the girls that Rick's seen? Because his time of being out on the trails was earlier than what law enforcement tried to press upon him as the time frame that he said he was there. And let's remember too that Dan Doolin, we have no original record of any statement that Rick Allen made. It was Dan Doolin destroyed his original handwritten report conveniently. And again, Dan Doolin, 3 days after this happened, meets a guy, and Dan, not Rick's words, but Dan Doolin's words were, he described himself as wearing the same clothes as Bridge Guy, and he was out there between 1:30 and 3:30. And yet Dan Doolin goes back to the station, puts some information into a report on the computer, and destroys the handwritten notes, and then forgets about this dude. Completely forgets about him for 7 years. That's what they want us to believe happened. Well, the thing is about Betsy Blair is Betsy Blair's Fitbit proves that she was there. Apparently her vehicle was also seen on the Hoosier Harvest Store video camera.
Where's Richard Allen? That's one of the things about that Hoosier Harvest Store camera. Where's Richard Allen?
Right. Hey, Dr. Silkman, how are ya?
If Sarah Carbal's on there and Betsy Blair's on there and Sarah Carbar saw someone muddy and bloody, where is he? Where's Muddy and Bloody? Where's the dude? I want to see him. You have
Okay,
pictures of everything else.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to keep up with chat. There's a lot of you guys in here. So Ann L says the timeline is off. Can you explain? And so let's look at this in two different ways. Well, let's look at it in three different ways. One being, we have Rick Allen, a man who has no sexual deviant behavior. He has no connection to Abby and Libby. He has no connection to anyone that has ever been found, whether it be the group of Odinists that were looked at, Ron Logan, Keegan Klein, the Dropbox. There's nothing, and let's be honest, in the search warrant return from Rick Allen's home, there was a massive amount of electronics, and nothing pointed to this man who was 49 years old at the time of this murder, that he had any type of deviant behavior, whether it be sexual, violent, child interests, nothing. There was nothing. So believing that Rick Allen did this, we have to believe that on a nice warmer day, he leaves his mom's house, he goes and buys beer. And I'm sorry, but 3 beers is not going to intoxicate you to the point where you become somebody completely different, especially if you're somebody who drinks. However, we're supposed to believe that he went home, he drank 3 beers, bundled up like it was winter time, not a nice, decent, abnormally warm day, but bundled up, put a face mask on, not only packed a gun, he also packed a knife or multiple knives and headed out to the trails, hoping he would just run into an opportunity to kill someone. Not only that, let's go back to the map. If we're looking at Rick Allen, we
And
have
then
to,
does it silently and DNA free without one shred of DNA.
right, absolutely. No DNA, no hair.
That picture in the evidence of the jacket, like, does that look like a picture that's gone through a brutal murder where people's throats were slashed? No, it does not. Not at all. But it was still
So,
admitted into evidence.
so let's look at the map too. So we have a man who is brilliantly capable of, pre-planning a crime that he doesn't even know he's going to have the opportunity to commit. And he gets these 2 girls quickly, swiftly, and quietly off the bridge, literally, because there are other people out on the trails. There is a vehicle driving by the private drive that we know passes the camera at 244. And it's either the phone of Brad Weber connects or it pings on the tower at 250. So right here is Brad Weber underneath the bridge. So Rick Allen had to get these 2 girls off this bridge and out of sight immediately. But the one thing that bothers me is he's packing a knife, he's packing a gun. We don't know what else this bridge guy, killer of 2 young girls, had on him. But Rick was from the area. And if Rick living over here, let me, where is Ellen's house is on here. Rick Allen knew the layout, okay, of this area. But he chose, according to law enforcement, he chose to park all the way right in here, which means he would have parked his car here in the lot. He would have walked around this path. Can you guys see my mouse?
I can see it.
Yeah,
You're on the path by
Okay. So he walked around this,
the Freedom Bridge, right?
he walks around this path. Huh?
Just talking about the Freedom Bridge.
Well,
That's where
see,
you're at.
according to law, yes, this is the Freedom Bridge right here. I need to mark this on here. But the CPS building would have been right over in here somewhere. It's no longer there. But he would have walked this path and he would have came right up into the elements are at. And then he would have entered the trailhead right here. Okay. According to Kathy, because I reached out and got an answer, according to Kathy, on this day, Rick said he crossed the Freedom Bridge before entering the trails, which means he would have had to have come from over here, crossing Freedom Bridge before entering the trailhead. Now, the girls, the original girls that they had at trial, they testified that they took a picture right here on this bench at 126. And they know where the bench was because they could see the green roof of the house behind them. And that was kind of their marker of which bench they were at. And that they ran into this man as they were approaching Freedom Bridge. So if Rick came across Freedom Bridge, he did not park over here because he would not have had to have crossed Freedom Bridge to get to the trailhead. So there's that. And so they wanted us to believe that he parked all the way out here and had no game plan of what he was about to do. And he walked all the way through the trails, hoping to encounter somebody to essay, assault, murder, or whatever. But he finds the perfect opportunity at the furthest distance, at the very end of, there's nowhere to go from here. You're at the end of the bridge. You either go over here to Brad Weber's property or you go down the hill. So now this stupid man has walked the furthest distance he could possibly walk, taken two girls down the hill, but he's smart enough to keep them under control, keep them quiet, keep them out of sight. And in a matter of about 12 to 14 minutes, he has killed them. And we know that Libby, at the time of her death, had to be nude. Her clothes already had to be off because her sweatshirt was on Abby and Libby's blood is not on that sweatshirt. Libby's t-shirt that she had on under the sweatshirt was in the creek with no blood. So he was able to do all of that knowing that he had to walk over a mile to get back to his vehicle. In the mid-afternoon, so that leads us to it being a pre-planned crime, which means, do we have multiple people? And do we have older and younger? And if we have older and younger, who aligns in that category? So we know Ron Logan could have been in contact with Keegan Klein, if you believe what Reese was told. And if they needed a bait boy to appear to be a Anthony Shots because the girls were lured out there, would Garrett Curts not fit the bill? Or you've got Brad Holder, whose son, I believe at the time, was very much, a daddy's boy. Whatever dad did, Logan was on board. The whole odorless ritual thing. There's rumors that Brad Holder at some point in time had lived at Ron's. I've not been able to prove that. But if he lived there or he hung out there, I was told that he lived there for a short time. And that's exactly how Logan met Abby, because Abby literally lived right down the road. So when you look at the map, hold on, go back out because I got to use my mouse. Sorry. When you look at the map down here, you've got the end of the bridge.
I don't know
House.
if anybody else on the panel is having a problem or if it's just me, but you're cutting in and out or guitaring, Amy. I'm missing what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm cutting in and out.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right, it's just me then.
But
No,
maybe,
I hear you cutting out now and then too.
oh,
Okay, I'll pull the mic closer. So if we have a pre-planned crime, guys, I don't know why. I don't know. It's pouring down rain. I don't know if it's the weather here or if it's just my mic likes to give me problems.
it's pouring here too, so I might be interfering somehow. That's why I can't hear it. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it says it's cutting in and out. I'm going to I'll pull it a lot closer. Sorry, guys. So, and that's another thing about the impression that you get when you watch the Bridge Guy video about the girls, whether they were fearful or not, because Libby knew the area. She 100% knew the area. And I mean, Abby came off that bridge with a quickness and she ran past Libby. Could they have not just ran? Could they have not ran down the hill on their own and up the private drive towards the homes, towards Abby's home? Or they could have went straight off the south end of the bridge and ran straight over to Brad Weber's house. So these are all of the things that you have to, like, I put into perspective as what happened out there.
Something happened out there, and there was a lot, and it wasn't some 5'4" dude being able to take control of two girls silently without a shred of DNA being spilled on him or his car. No devices. It's someone else.
Well, just watching and going over the BG video, you have to, all of those scenarios run through your mind about when you take into account what Reese said. And okay, let's go back to, I keep going to the wrong screen sharing thing. So let's go back to what we know about what Reese said. And that was that Keegan Klein, Ron Logan, claimed that Keegan dropped them off out in front. So I asked, where's out in front? And Reese didn't know. He didn't know the area. So if you are Ron Logan and you live here, and this is the Monon High Bridge here, Where would out in front be to you? Would it be the closest end of the bridge to your home? Or would you be dropped off all the way out here at the trailhead and have to do the same route that Rick Allen did and go all the way up the trail? So when you say, when Reese says that they claim they were dropped off out in front, we have at 208, we have the Sandiford property right here. Sandiford's had a camera that was a direct shot across the way to the private drive. This is the private drive. You would drive in here, you go into the woods, and you go all the way around underneath the bridge over to Brad Weber's house. Well, Osbrook has confirmed that at 2:08 p.m., there's a black sedan seen on this road traveling in towards the private drive. It goes in, I believe it goes off camera, and then about a minute later, it's seen returning and coming back out. Is that long enough to drop somebody off at the south end of the bridge on the private drive, and you've got somebody who came up the hill and entered the south end of the bridge, walked towards the girls, past the girls, and then turned around and followed them?
That's what I've always thought was the most plausible, because you can't see anybody in the picture behind Abby. So then there's no way he got up on her that quick. So I've always thought this, he had to have passed him on the south end and then turned around and came up behind him again.
Well, no, they didn't. Kathy Aldridge, they did not spend another 5 minutes. So we know that Abby was in that photograph at 2:07 on the bridge. And I think we can all agree that she's the only one in that photo and there's no one behind her at 2:07. And she's about halfway across the bridge. By 2:13, okay, now that's 6 minutes. What were the girls doing for 6 minutes? Were they just continuing on to cross the bridge? Because I don't think, if it took Abby 7 minutes to get midway, did it take another 6 minutes? I've been to the bridge, but I've not crossed it. I want to cross it, but I've not crossed it. But
Rick Snag got there in like 6 minutes or something. I try not to watch the videos, but he does have a video of him crossing the bridge, and he says that he booked it and he got across in like 6.5 minutes or something.
Julie in chat, do you tell us how long it takes to cross the bridge?
Hi, Luke.
Hey,
How
Luke.
are you? Welcome to all the new people in the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Giggle Glimmer. Hey, guys, while you're all in here, we've got like 250 watching. Can you guys hit that like button? And Cherie, can you drop Rhonda's link for her channel in the chat for me?
Okay.
Electric Weircat says I've crossed it in 6 minutes. It's about right. So Abby being midway through at 2:07. And then it took them another 6 minutes or so to get to the other end. I mean, we can speculate what was going on. Because if you're taking Reese's story that he was told, where he says that they were dropped off, that Ron approached the girls were looking at something, discussing rabbits or animals, and he made the comment, hey, I have rabbits in my barn, I can take you to see them. And the girls ignored him and continued walking. And then Ron supposedly, I guess, said he did some laps, whatever that means. Like, is that back and forth across the bridge? Did he keep walking and then turn around and come back? Or did he immediately turn around? Because supposedly, whatever happened there, the other person that he was with basically egged him on, like, go get him, go get him, go get him. And so did he walk back out, pass them and then turn around behind them? Or was there somebody at the north end of the bridge? I mean, this happened so quick and the timing was so perfect that you've got Cheyenne Knoll and Shelby, who came shortly after the girls were taken off the bridge. They're on the bridge. They're taking pictures on the bridge. They cross the bridge. They actually use the bathroom on the south end of the bridge, which is not far from where the state wants us to believe the girls were directly taken and killed, right there. How did she not see anything? And you got to remember, it's February, so the trees are pretty bare. And being that high up, they should have been able to see right across the creek somebody moving around over there. I mean, remember, they wanted us to believe that Libby was cut standing up, was mobile before she went to a sitting position, and then was moved without any drag marks into her final resting place. And during that time, what was Abby doing? Because we know Libby was already undressed and Abby was found in Libby's clothes. So anybody on panel have any thoughts about any of that?
I have lots of thoughts. None that I can form into a sentence at this exact moment.
So that is, I mean, to me, scenario wise, what makes more sense? Exactly. Indy Cindy said she wants to know where Abby's overnight bag was, the backpack or whatever is at. It would have had Abby's extra clothes in it because she packed it to go to Becky Patty's to stay the night. Right. And we do have that photo from them in the car where it does. I mean, you can look at that photo and think that, does Abby have a backpack on her left shoulder in the back seat of the car? And then on top of that, we've got this photo has been flipped anyway. This right here on Abby's left shoulder, is that a backpack? And we know based on Kim Riley's.
Do you see who's in our chat right now?
Who'd I miss?
I think it's Sergio.
Hey, Sergio.
We should make our announcement.
Yeah, I will here in a minute. I'm going to wait and see if he wants to come up.
Oh yeah.
Abby's got this back. Is that a backpack? Is that her sleepover bag right there? And then you've got Kim Riley who says to the Journal and Courier, we want to look at any aspect of what somebody might have seen, Riley said, adding that if someone saw a person throwing away a backpack, they'd be interested in tracking that down too.
Is it a backpack? I mean, it could be. I don't know. I refuse to see anything anymore. I refuse to say that I see anything anymore after the giant bunny kerfuffle.
Yeah, I never saw the giant bunny.
I did for like a minute, and now I'm mad at myself for even thinking that I did. Big giant bunny.
Yeah. Some people think it's a backpack. I mean, think about it. If Kelsey's taking the girls to the bridge and dropping them off and Derek is picking them up, would the plan be, because it's Monday, it's a school night. They didn't have school that day, but they had school the next day. So would the plan be that Derek, being right there by the trails, would Derek be planning to drop Abby off at home after the girls are picked up? So therefore, would Abby have taken her overnight bag with her? And if so, she would have taken the bag out of the car and kept it with her on the trails. And because it was Abby's supposedly first time crossing the bridge, was the bag given to Libby to carry? Because we don't ever see Libby in the video. So where's the backpack if she had one? That's another, and I think Kathy can speak to the fact that at some point over the years, she recalls seeing an image of there being a black bag on the bridge.
Have you ever wondered why Derek didn't drive them to the bridge? Like,
Yeah,
he was leaving and he was like, it would have made more sense for him to, if, because weren't they supposed to be planning it all morning? He cooked them banana pancakes. They would have known he was leaving. It makes sense that they would, it never made sense to me that Derek didn't drop them off.
right. So there's that. So
Julie Melvin, Sergeant Riley, like Riley, the ISP officer that
mhm.
retired. Is Sergio going to come up?
So Kathy Aldridge, can you explain, come to what conclusion? So did you study the Libby phone data? I did, and I've gone through, and that's another thing that I need to add to this map, but I'm going to have to remove some stuff because it's getting too crowded. But the phone data is in meters, and it really doesn't make sense from the time that the girls go down, like when they go down the hill. I believe there's correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, if you're in the chat, I believe there's a 7 minute of no movement. So it's almost like they would have had to have gone somewhere else before they made it over to the phone's final resting place. So which conclusion, because I really haven't come to any conclusion about the phone because I feel like it's still up in the air.
Was Derek's license a provisional license, meaning he could only drive for work? Would that be because, I mean, would he have been doing work for Becky? Like, where was Derek? And did Becky cover for him saying that he was working for her? Because he was retaking pictures, because she already had the pictures. He was retaking pictures. But in order, but I don't know the status. I know that he's had a suspended license, but was it restrictive where he could still drive for work? Hello.
I'm reading the chat. I mean, I don't know about his restrictions for driving. I do know that Becky claimed that the girls called Derek before they were leaving, yet the phone records show that Libby made the phone call to her dad to get the ride home while she was in the car with Kelsey on the way to the bridge.
I keep
I don't.
hearing. Can you explain to me? I keep hearing people talk about it. When I look for it, there's so many different. So what is this? Someone said here in the 8 minutes of non-movement. I've heard you say 7 minutes when you were talking about something else. Is there like a time of? And then I've heard someone say, what was, if he wasn't sexually assaulting them, what was he doing for 7 minutes? What is this time period that people are talking about?
So the girls, when they were taken down the hill, there's movement or there's steps that are, I believe it's 60 meters, which that's 60 meters in feet equals 196 feet if you convert it.
Uh-huh.
So there's movement. I have the data. I've got it saved, but I'm not going to go pull it up because I got too much stuff downloaded up here. I believe it was 7 minutes. So there's movement, and then the phone stops moving for 7 minutes, and then there's additional movement. I want to say 40 meters, and then there's 2 elevation changes.
Oh, I was going to ask that too. So when the Fitbit is registering elevation changes, is it measuring it by the steps? So if you were like trying to get up an embankment really fast and you were moving your feet really fast, but you kept slipping, would that count it as uphill? Each step is another foot uphill, even though you're not getting uphill if you're trying to get up
That,
the
I mean,
embankment.
that would literally be up to a um forensic expert to explain. So when you look at here, let me
We're
pull this
moving
up
their
here
feet
really
really
quick.
fast because when you run up a hill.
Yeah. Well, I do know that according to Sarah Eldridge, she was the state's, or I'm sorry, she was the defense's forensic phone data expert. She claimed that the only elevation change that an iPhone 6 would register would be upward. Because I think that at trial, I think the state was trying to include that a downward elevation change would be registered. She said, no, it's only upward. So that makes a lot of sense. So that would mean that when they go over across the creek, that they would have climbed up the embankment. But then you got to ask yourself, which part of the creek did they cross? Did they go straight through the water over to the other side of the creek where there was a higher embankment, or did they cross where there was like a sandbar in the middle of the water where they were only, ankle or shin deep in water? Those are questions that we just don't have answered. But I'm trying to pull this video up here because this gives you, let me see here, that other side of the bridge, the south end side of the bridge.
We've already crossed.
Oh, this is Julie's video. That isn't the one. Hold on. Sorry. Love you, Julie. I'm looking for one that gives me, well, maybe this one does. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Let me pause it.
Isn't Ron Logan's
So on the
house,
south
isn't
end of the
that
bridge,
that barn is pretty
do
high
what?
up. That barn is pretty high up. The one that we were looking at, the Mears property that's right across from Ron Logan's house.
Oh, yeah.
That barn was really high.
So, yeah. So you guys see the private drive down here. This is where the white van would have traveled that goes underneath the bridge. This is complimentary of Julie Melvin. Let me fast forward it just a little bit, but I want you guys to look at the distance from the time that she gets to the end of the bridge and looks down the hill, and look at the distance. Why does this keep freezing on me? Sorry, guys. So look at the distance from, okay, there's down the hill, there's the private drive. Then you go down another hill, clear across the creek. I have to believe that that's way further than 196 feet.
196 feet, isn't that
And
like
see, this
two
is the
football
direction that the
fields?
girls could have ran right across.
Or is that yards?
Huh?
I don't. Nothing. I'm not a mathematician.
That's yards.
Oh, I don't
That would
watch
be
football.
yards.
That makes sense now, actually, that you say that. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's such a girl. It makes so much
That's
more
okay.
sense. It's yards instead of feet. I thought the football field looked way too big this whole time. I was today years old when I learned that there's yards in football and not feet. Jesus Lord, I'm dumb.
I think I did the conversion based off of Dan McCain's testimony, because I forget where I wrote it down, but he did give the footage of the bridge, and it literally, the bridge itself is like, it's over the length of I think it's over the length of a football field. But going down the hill, you are literally on the private drive and being there. So like if you're at the north end of the bridge at the start to cross the bridge, you can look down either side of your eye, like your line of sight to the other side of the bridge and down at the ground, and you can see the private drive. I have a really, and Julie, maybe you can chime in here, but I have a really hard time believing that if he takes them down, whoever this is, takes the girls down the hill, and he's planning on assaulting them at the bottom of the hill. Okay. And then this car, this van happens upon them. They're going to be seen. There's, they're up against a hill, and on the other side of them is water.
Did you see what Curious Luke said? If they slid
No,
down the hill 20 feet, then ran back up, it would show a 2-story incline.
possibly.
I actually have thought that before. That there was
Well, and
something down at the bottom of the hill, so they ran back up.
and Sergio, when Sergio did his analysis on Rick Allen's interrogation video, there was one thing that, because he slowed it down and he pointed out the direct words that Jerry Holman said.
Does Sergio want to come on? Sergio, do you want to come on?
He has the link. I don't know if he can.
He's in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, he knows he can come on. He was invited on. The Jerry Holman's words that you dragged the girls down the fucking hill. You dragged them down the hill. And now remember, there was the clump of hair that was found. Does anybody in chat recall, was that clump of hair found on the hill, at the bottom of the hill? And did we ever hear at trial if that hair was tested and if it belonged to Abby or Libby? So as soon as, because when you're watching the BG video,
He's
as soon as
asking for the link. Sergio.
hold on, I'll email it to you.
Amy, while you're doing that, I just have to say, because I sent Amy Sergio's videos on Rick Allen and Keegan Klein in the last few weeks. And I tried to reach out to Sergio. I tried to email him because I wanted to ask permission for you to use, clips of his videos or whatever in any of your presentations. But even better, you have him here now, and I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
Sergio, I need an updated email address because the one I copied from your YouTube channel didn't work. So it came back undeliverable, but I'm really excited and thrilled to hear what else he has to offer.
Yeah, we have a little well, I'll wait for him to come on and he can I'll
have
let
the
him.
surprise.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yes.
so cool.
All eyes. Yes, absolutely. Now that we have seen the video, we know that the disturbance on the hill was already there.
Yeah, that's one of the things too.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
Hi, Sergio.
Hey, Sergio, it's nice to meet you, and welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So
Good.
I agree, Shaboogies. I won't embarrass him, but I agree.
Sergio, my friend Rhonda here, she has her own channel and she covers Daniel Holtzclaw's case. He's the police officer from Oklahoma who has been wrongfully convicted. So she was asking, is it okay if I pass on your email to her?
I don't think he can hear us. Can you hear us, Sergio? Are you muted? I don't think he knows that we're here. Sergio!
So do I need to turn off the YouTube one in order for this
Yes.
to...
Yeah,
You
turn
might.
off your YouTube. and then just go through StreamYard.
Okay. Now are we in real time here?
Now
Yes,
we're in
sir.
real time.
Okay.
Yes. So
All
welcome,
right.
welcome to the channel, and everybody in chat. This is Sergio. If you haven't watched his videos as of yet, please go subscribe to his channel. And if I can get one of my mods to drop his channel link in the chat, that would be great. And he's got some. Why don't you really quick go ahead and tell everybody that's watching a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So
Nothing like putting you on this spot, but hey, you're here.
yeah, no, I mean, so my history basically after September 11th, I went into the Army as a counterintelligence special agent. I went through that training, source handling, and fast forward a little bit. After a deployment to Afghanistan, I helped the Army set up the 1st Interrogation Battalion. So as a counterintelligence special agent, my job was to oversee the interrogators there. So during that ramp up period before I deployed to Iraq with that unit, I went through a whole bunch of very specialized training because I had a year and a half. Basically, they told me unlimited budget, just go kill a year and a half while we, get the interrogators up to speed. So I went through a whole slew I went through the polygraph course, the read interrogation course, scientific content analysis, and then I worked with a Black Ops Army unit for a short period of time. Then we ended up deploying, and I got to use all of these skills in the detention facility in Iraq for about 15 months. And then came back, and I worked as a federal agent with the Department of Homeland Security for a little while. And then I got medically retired. And at that point, that's when I needed to figure out what to do. So I started this YouTube channel. I started analyzing videos. So my experience is through the military, and I'm making this transition of now trying to use these skills within our justice system. So when I was a federal agent, I was tactical. I didn't do any investigations. So that's who I am. And now the way I like to do things is to try and go into these cases completely blind so that I can just look at somebody's words without being biased by evidence. And this case is a great example of why. Because if I went in thinking he was guilty, then your brain kind of tries to force you to see the words a certain way. So yeah, I'm on tonight trying to get caught up to speed. Actually, now that I already have an opinion on this case, it doesn't matter. So at this point, I want to learn the evidence and the people who are involved in this and get up to speed so that we can continue, so that Amy can direct me on which interrogations and interviews to analyze next.
So guys, what we are planning is we spent about 3 hours last night discussing the case as a whole, not deep into the details. I kind of I think I'm going to go ahead and prepare a murder board that we discussed. So Sergio has been provided the list of names of all of the different POIs in this case, how they are somewhat connected or possibly connected. And he has links of either interviews that they've done or interrogation videos or news interviews. So what we're hoping to be able to do is he's going to get to analyze. He's going to start with, I think we agreed on Ron Logan. Sergio is going to start with Ron Logan first. He's going to do a complete analysis on him. He's going to create a video. I will let you guys all know when that's getting ready to drop. Once the video comes out, we'll have Sergio on over here. We'll do a recap of the video, answer questions, and then tell you which direction we're going to go next. And the goal of it is to get through all of the people in this case and hopefully even some law enforcement like Jerry Holman and possibly even Nick McClelland. And once he's done with all of his analysis, he is going to give us his opinion on what he believes happened in this case. So I think that's super exciting.
I am so
I'm looking forward to
excited.
this. This is going to be fun.
It is. It's going to be super fun. So I kind of overwhelmed him last night with some links. I mean, he knows a little bit about, you know, how they kind of fell in line as far as suspects. He's even got the interviews that Patrick Westfall has done. We've got Garrett Curts' interrogation video. So he has it all. So that is the game plan. And I'll still continue to do the series on the Delphi Vault. But so I think everybody's going to be super excited about that.
You're very popular in our community, Sergio. People really enjoy what you have been posting.
That's great because, you know, the hardest part of the transition from the military to not being active in the government anymore is that I have dedicated my whole life to public service, and it was really hard at the point where I was medically retired. I didn't think I was going to be able to use this skill to help people and to make a difference. But man, getting into this community it's really awesome. I feel like I have a real purpose. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I think if anybody could really make a difference, especially in this case, it's you, because you come in so late and so unbiased. You're just going purely on evidence. So I think that makes you a very valuable asset.
Yeah, and there's some things that are just random from my background. Like, for example, when I was putting myself through college, I worked in loss prevention, and I remember one time I was stopping this 16-year-old girl who was stealing cigarettes in a grocery store. And at that point, I was 20 years old. I was in the best shape of my life. You know, I'm 6 feet, 220 pounds at that time. And I had a hard time subduing her by myself. I remember she started to squirm as I was trying. I had handcuffs that I was trying to get on her, and she ended up kicking the wall, knocked us both into the parking lot, and other people had to help me to subdue her. So I'm telling you right now, there is no possible way that Rick Allen by himself could have forcibly subdued those two girls. There's just no way.
I'm a first responder, and the worst I've ever been hurt on the job is I got my butt kicked by a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So people in chat are asking some questions. So what I didn't want to, you know, you guys know that this case has a voluminous amount of information. So I didn't want to overwhelm him with information and confuse him because there's a lot of names, a lot of connections. So I just kind of, I'm going to go in chronological order. And with the case, you know, Ron Logan was the very first suspect. And you're welcome, Vonda Kay. So we're going to start with him. And this is going to be a process. This is, you know, he has a whole life. So it's going to be, you know, we're not going to be able to do this all, you know, boom, 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 boom. We'll have to be patient, but we'll keep you updated where we are when the video is going to drop for Ron. And then as we get through Ron and he tells me where he thinks he needs to go next, I am going to provide him with the copy of the Franks motion, which he can, I'll give him a link and the documents. He can either read it or listen to it, whatever is more convenient. All of that is going to come over time. And he's fully aware of our community's opinion about law enforcement in this case. I have not touched with him yet on the possible family involvement. We will get there. So I don't want to overwhelm him. So, and we want the best of him. So let him do his thing on his pace.
Yeah, I am going to be bouncing back and forth too between this case and the Karen Reed case, because
Yeah.
I'm doing something similar actually that we're doing with the Karen Reed case.
Yeah.
There's a Facebook post that Levi Holder joined the Logansport Police Department.
Oh, really? Isn't that interesting? So 400. Okay, so Lynette Aid says the Monon High Bridge is 63 feet high and 428 feet long. So how many yards is that? Someone do the math. 428 feet. I feel like it's longer than that.
Like football field feet or football field yards? Just kidding. Sorry, Kate.
I don't know. Like okay, let's see how long a football field. How long is a football field, Sergio? Do you know?
Yeah, 100 yards, so 300 feet.
It's
Okay,
not
so
100 feet.
Yeah, so it's 100 feet, 128 feet longer than a football field. So wow. So
It's not that far.
That is very good math. I'm very impressed with both of you right now.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen Sergio's video on Rick Allen's interrogation, you need to go watch that. And then he just released at the end of last week, part 1 and part 2 of his analysis on the Keegan Kline interrogation transcripts from when detective, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Where Keegan was interrogated after the search warrant was served. So, and I think you found Keegan Kline all by yourself, didn't you? Because I don't think we hadn't spoken yet about Keegan Kline or anything like that. So you found him on your own.
Yeah, I just woke up Monday morning and actually I was trying to find the interrogator, and so I was looking through the police interviews, and that's the police press briefing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's when I heard somebody talk about Anthony Schatz.
Yeah.
So I Googled that, and that's what led me to Keegan Kline.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, I started him out, for those of you who are curious in the chat, I started him out with the links that he has for law enforcement are some of the earlier videos of their press conferences, the 2019 New Direction Young Bridge Guy sketch press conference, then the press conference after the arrest of Rick Allen, and then also the press conference after the verdict came out. So he has those. I kind of gave him a variety, but I do have some that I'm going to send him specifically of Jerry Holman. But I'm going to let him get through what he's got right now.
Have you heard Mind Shock yet, Sergio?
Mm-mm.
You're going to love the way he says Keegan Kline. Keegan Kline.
So, okay. So let me get through, before we get off here tonight, let me get through. Okay. Now see, Julie Melvin is saying that the Monon High Bridge is 853 feet long. It's also the second tallest bridge in Indiana. See, that's like 3 football fields. Almost 3 football fields. I'm telling you, when you're there, it's long. Like you stand on one end and you really can't see the end of it because of the trees and stuff down at that end. So, well, let's get on with what I wanted to talk about real quick with Sarah Carbal. Sarah Carbal was the last eyewitness to testify at trial. And what makes Sarah Carbal interesting is I was going to leave it up to chat to direct me, because let me see here. Am I still sharing my screen? Is my map coming up, guys, on the screen or no?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Hold on. I'll probably have to reshare it. So Sarah Carbal testified that, first of all, that she knew the girls were missing after she left that area because she got an Amber Alert. That is absolutely 100% not true. There was no Amber alert put out for the girls. Not on the 13th and not on the 14th of February.
Did she say that in court?
And she claims that she did. She testified that she got an Amber alert.
What?
So she claimed that she had drove back and forth on 300 here multiple times. I think in total she said 4. Now, remember, so she's traveling at this last time, she's traveling eastbound. So she's coming eastbound. She's going towards the Hoosier Harvest store where the camera is. The camera's right here. Now, somebody in chat and somebody on panel tell me, because I can't see chat, where do you believe, based on her testimony, that you believe she encountered Muddy Bloody Guy on 300? Was it after she passed the Mears lot? Because we know in her testimony, she claimed that she's seen multiple people standing right here at the Mears parking lot. Or did she claim that she passed Muddy and Bloody Guy first on 300 and then passed the Mears lot? What's everyone's consensus in the chat based on what they remember from trial? Julie, because you were at trial. Is no one in chat listening to me?
But people are saying they think she
Trial
made it
done.
up.
Okay, so Carla Ann says before Mears. Trial Junkie says by the cemetery. Yeah, she literally said he was 3 feet from her on the driver's side. She was heading east. Nowhere near the Harvest store CCTV, that's for sure. So when you look, I'm still reading through chat here what you guys all think. Yeah, there's an exhibit where she marks it. I'll have to go. I have all those exhibits. I'll have to go back and pull that up and find exactly which one it is. But I'm just saying hypothetically if she did, because when we look at this map, okay, are we to believe? So from where Abby and Libby were found, did Bridge Guy, the lone wolf Bridge Guy, travel all the way through these woods and stay undercover in the woods? And if you've ever been there, this patch right here between the bridge and Mears lot, that's not thick at all. You could not walk along this tree line right here and not be seen by people on the trail. There's no way. And if he came this way, he would have had to have passed the entrance and he would have been seen plain as day by the people parked at the Mears lot. And parked at the Mears lot, based on Tara German's posts, Tara German was driving a dark blue Acadia. She was parked at the Mears lot. Derek German was driving a white Subaru. He was parked at the Mears lot. And Tara's girlfriend was also parked at the Mears lot, and she was driving a tan Nissan. And shortly after Tara and her girlfriend arrived, shortly after that, Becky and Cody Patty pulled in. So that is 4 cars with 5 people standing right there at the Mears lot. So where did Sarah Carbal encounter Muddy Bloody Guy? This guy right here. Where do we put Muddy Bloody Guy? Is he did he come out here and cross the pass, the cut down brush and walk down 300 plain as day? And he would have had to have passed the Mears lot. I mean, if this is Richard Allen, how did Richard Allen get back to his car all the way over here at the CPS lot? And if you zoom in to, let's just pretend, and I'm not going to pull them up, we'll do them in another video, but the actual exhibits of the supposed vehicle that passed the Hoosier Harvest Store video camera that supposedly captured Richard Allen's car. So let's pretend that muddy, bloody guy, you know, he whatsoever of all these people standing out here, he's walking down the road covered in blood. Did he walk across 300 and go back here behind the Hoosier Harvest Store? Because I have a feeling if he did and he came back out this way, way. Because you can see the camera, the full parking lot. And then when you go back to Sarah Carbal's testimony, when she's cross-examined, her very first interview that she gives, and they pulled out the transcripts to confront her, her very first interview, she says, muddy guy on 300 11 times in her very first interview. No mention of bloody. In her second interview, a couple months later, she mentions muddy guy 13 times. No bloody. 2 years after this fact of her encountering this individual that she claims that she saw, 2 years after, she mentions muddy bloody 13 times. I'm sorry, only bloody. He's no longer muddy. He's only bloody. He's bloody. And then she's confronted with her own statement that it looked like he slaughtered a pig. And she came across offended on the stand, like she didn't say that. And once again, they offered her the transcript to read it, and she declined.
And she was
So,
really, really defensive. That would be an interesting testimony to go over with Sergio. Like, she came out of the gate, her and Brad Weber.
once we get the transcripts, he can probably review those. But she also said that this guy was wearing a tan sweater type pullover with a hoodie. She didn't describe it as a sweatshirt. She described it as a sweater. And that he had on a odd hat, and the hat had a bill on it. And possibly she could see some curly hair coming out of the hat. And his posture was weird and sketchy. And I went back through and I listened to Andrea Burkhart's recap, and I do not believe at trial it is ever stated if Sarah's car was captured on the Hoosier Harvest video. Does anyone know in chat? Did I miss that? Did another person covering the trial catch that? Well, so going back to my original opinion, if Bridge, and he heads out through the woods, through the cemetery, I mean, he's coming out here into the wide open. What man overdresses, loads a gun, loads a knife, and plans to come out here to kill at the best opportune time that he can come across and park the furthest distance away that he possibly can? But again, he's cool, calm, and collective enough to take these two girls off the bridge in a matter of moments, quietly, silently, out of sight, out of sound, leaves no DNA, and then is bold enough to walk down 300 to get to his car, but he's not seen on camera. So, Sergio, do you have an opinion? Oh, it says his device isn't connected. Does anybody else have an opinion? She said after she passed the Hoosier Harvest store, my question is, why didn't the group see Muddy and Bloody Guy either? That's what I'm saying. If he is walking, and she said that she passed those on the Mears parking lot. How did no one park at the Mears lot? And she even claimed that she saw, I think that she claimed at trial that she recalls seeing women out there that appeared frantic. Sergio might have to come back in because it says his device isn't connected. So guys, there's over 300 people watching. Can you guys all hit that like for me, please? Oh, okay. He's still here, but he's just doing family stuff. No problem. Yeah, I didn't like her demeanor at trial either, because she just came across, number one, like too prepared.
There's your
and
answer,
too defensive.
Shabookies.
What'd she say?
She thinks Sergio's hot, and she kept asking if he's single. And when you just said he's doing family stuff, I said, well, there's
Oh,
your answer, Shabookies.
no, he's a family man.
Aw.
I don't have that sketch that BB did. I do have some interesting, I'm not going to do it tonight. It's a work night for me, guys. I'm sorry. But I do have some interesting things from putting the vehicle images into AI. And I know that other people have done the same thing too. And it does not, no matter which image you input, none of them come back to a 2016 Ford Focus. No, she did. Shelley Klein. No, she didn't. She didn't interact with the guy that she claimed that she saw walking down 300. But literally, like if you are ever going through Indiana, please stop out there. First of all, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful out there. But this area right here,
Best be packing, though.
okay, this area right here where this Mears lot is, I mean, it's literally, this road all the way down is wide open. There's no way to hide. I don't care where Muddy Bloody Guy would have went after leaving the girls. He could not have walked within, first of all, see this green tree area right here? Once you get past this little area here, a hill on the side of the trail. So if you were to step off the trail, it's almost like a berm. You walk 2 or 3 feet, and then there's like a berm type hill. So if he was walking on the inside of the berm along the trail, and people are on the trail that day, we know people are on the trail at this time, he would have been seen. If he's on the other side of the berm, he would have ran right into every single person right here at Mears. So where did she see him? That is something that I think that I'm going to check some other channels who were there at trial and see if they picked up on any exact location. All we know is that she did pass the Mears lot. But I did not hear in her testimony or in the trial whether or not her car was caught on that video. So
Hey, Sleuthy Goosey, welcome in. You just missed Sergio.
hey, Tammy. Hey, Angel Ray. I agree, Angel. They should have gone out there to this area because there's nothing like being there. There's really not. And I mean, when I say that when you go down that hill, there's nowhere to hide. I mean, it literally and with people up on the bridge, they said that the girls were found kind of down like, they were in like this plateau of like a bowl. So like
And
if you were
it's
walking, huh?
back in the very beginning. The when someone was standing there, like I saw some footage of it, and it told like not that I buy the Odinist theory, but it totally looked like a place that like was almost like a like a circle of trees. You know what I mean? It was just eerie. It looked like a place if you were going to be doing some
Hmm.
witchcraft, you would do witchcraft.
Well, you can, well, and when you're out there, like this, like this, the excuse me, the water line here for Deer Creek, like I said, like right before you get to the bridge, there is this pathway. And if you go over here, which Sheree and I did, we walked through the woods here, but there were other people out there. And funny story, I'll tell you guys here in a minute before we get off. It was a freaking hilarious story, actually. But you can walk through these woods here, and you're literally walking on top of like a ridge line. You would be going down like a steep downhill down an embankment towards the creek if you were to come through these woods and then head towards the water. But as you come around over here where the girls are and you come down into, it's almost kind of like a bowl that they were like, it's not small by any means, but it would be if you were walking along the water line here along the edge, you might not have been able to see up over that ridge down into that dip where the girls actually were. However, if you were over here on the south end of the bridge where Cheyenne and them claimed they were, with it being February and there not being much foliage out there, I don't know why they wouldn't have been seen. Because if the phone stopped moving at 2:32, whatever, if that's where they were, which I don't believe personally that the girls were killed there.
I don't
Um,
either.
but if that's where they were and all of the staging took place there, I believe I believe that Abby redressed herself before before her life was taken. You can't take off wet jeans and put on wet jeans with Converse tennis shoes on, and her Converse were on. So I feel that she was told to redress. She wasn't her throat wasn't cut, and then she was redressed. The blood evidence on her clothing does not indicate that. So all of these little things that, it's frustrating that it wasn't discussed at trial. It really does make a difference. But for the lone wolf to leave out this way and walk down 300, being he parked at the furthest distance from the kill spot as possible, is just insane to me. Makes no sense. Why? I mean, did Richard Allen not know the area well enough? He knew, according to law enforcement, he knew the area well enough to go the back way that required him to pass the Hoosier Harvest Store camera to get to the CPS lot. Well, wouldn't he have had to have passed this? Why not park at the cemetery? I mean, he could have where he ended up, he could have gotten right into his car and left, and no one would have seen him walking at all.
I think that's why in the interrogation with Mullins and Liggett, they were so weird about like him telling them where he parked. They really needed him to be in a specific spot in order for all of this to fit. And I don't understand how they still made it fit. I think they just
Yeah.
confused everybody.
Well, especially when you look at the fact that if, which this was never a question asked in the interrogation, but like I said, if he crossed Freedom Bridge to get to the trailhead, he didn't park at the CPS building. There's, and I think this is what we had talked about, Streets, about going back to 2017, because if you remember, Rick said that he parked on the side of the Freedom Bridge and that he went under a smaller bridge to get to where he parked. So to me, I
That's
feel
where that old
that he's
trucking company
parking.
is. The old trucking company that was there, their
Well,
parking
right here,
lot
let me
was still
see.
left over. Their parking lot was still left over, and so while they were building like all of that stuff, the little parking lot on the side was there. Now there's like a memorial there or something. Like
This is,
I think it's a buffalo.
well, there's a statue over here. Well, the buffalo's over here.
Oh, that's,
But this
yeah,
right
I'm
here is
talking
a
about
parking
the,
lot. This is,
yeah.
okay, so when you turn left, like if you were coming from town, you would come down from here. On this road here, you would turn left. This right here is you're going under a small bridge. This is a little bridge right here, and it's now painted red. Then you go up, you turn right, you come back around, and you come right here and you park, and you're literally facing Freedom Bridge. So he parked on this side over here somewhere. If he came up and he crossed Freedom Bridge, he did not park over here. He wouldn't have crossed Freedom Bridge to enter the trails.
If he would have parked there
So that's
and
another
not
thing that
crossed
was
Freedom,
never discussed at trial. And another,
if he parked at the CBS building, he couldn't have crossed the Freedom Bridge
yeah,
unless
he
he
would have
went
never,
across the freeway. Right?
well, he would have had to, if he would have came in like you, yeah, I have pictures of this. I keep saying I'm going to put them up, but I need to, but you park over here where the old CPS lot was. And then there's like a gravel walkway along the road, and it brings you right into the trail, right over here to the circle where all of the new monuments are. And then right here is the entrance to the trail.
What
Okay.
is the
So
old I've
in
heard
order
of
for
this, the
him
old Camden Road parking lot. Nothing keeps talking about it. That's
is,
where that statue was,
is
right?
that over here?
Judge Jessica says she has
There's a
long thread.
monument right here where it says the Indian Bicentennial. She says she has what?
Judge Jessica says she has a long thread of people talking about that on Twitter. Old Camden, yes. I have a long thread on Twitter with everyone's posts pulled together.
Yeah, I would love to have that.
Is that with that
Yeah, I mean,
house
so
right on the
if there's
end that
nobody,
there's like a house right on the end that has a lake, and it's like, not a lake, but like a pond, and it's like right up from there.
Amy,
where I have it in yellow, Indy Cindy says where I have it in yellow is where he parked. That's what I thought, because he said he went under a smaller bridge. And I think he said it was blue, and it might have been blue back then, but I know now it's red. It's been red every single time I've been out here. But this is where I think he parked. And if he did park here, then he came over here onto the path, and to cross the freeway, he would have had to have crossed Freedom Bridge. And the girls who took the photo on the bench, right here. They said they took the photo at 126 right here. And they know it was here because they could see the green roof in the background. That's the green roof to the house for Freedom Bridge. So was Rick coming off the Freedom Bridge, getting ready to go onto the trails as the girls were leaving? And then we have this other guy that they speak of who was walking his dog around that same time. Why didn't we hear from him at trial? And who was he?
Dude, when it rains here, it's like a whole nother world.
Amy,
Yes.
I know you're super busy. Are you able to give me permission to? Travis wants a poll and asked me to do a poll, but I don't have access to your YouTube channel, your studio anymore.
Oh shoot. Okay. What's the poll?
Well, he wanted to know. Gosh, it's been so long ago now. Let me find it. It was about asking if people believe. Let's see if I can see it. Something wants to know. It wants a poll asking if people believe Richard Allen is innocent, but it didn't say or guilty. It was something else. Let's see.
Travis, if you're still in chat, will you post it again and I'll
Yeah, repost it again, Travis. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, yeah, if he'll post, if you let me know what the question is and what the options are, I'll create one.
Okay. Okay. I'll go ahead and keep.
Put it.
Did you find it, Sheree? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And he said, please.
Please, pretty please, with prayer hands, I think.
So who said please?
Travis.
It's right. It's here on the screen. Do you believe that Richard Allen is innocent, guilty, or don't know?
There you go.
Okay.
Dorit on top of it. Look at her.
She's always on top of it.
I know.
No, all I have to do is mention something and she is ready with a link.
My boyfriend's doing dishes. He just made us dinner. And I'm sorry about the talking before. The girl who lives in the little mother-in-law suite came and had ice cream. I don't know what she's going through. Lynn, I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to put up with your shenanigans. Not today.
Okay. So the the poll is posted. So guys, go in the chat and answer the question of the poll. So Old Yeller, do you agree with us where we think that RA parked?
She's such a good girl. She's like an EMT. She works full time and she goes to school full time and she rescues every animal. And most of our chickens we have are because of her. She rescues chickens. I don't know where she finds them, but we have a bunch of them.
Is it near 90%? You guys, if you haven't answered the poll question, please answer it. Yeah, it's almost at 90%. So let me tell you really quick why you guys are doing that. about me and Cherie's funny story while we were out there um, at on the trails. So we went out on the trails, and right when we were at the trailhead, there was a girl and a guy um, that approached us, and she had a bouquet of flowers. Now this is during Richard Allen's trial, and she asked us if they were in the right place where where the crime happened. Where was it? So we kind of directed them. If you follow the trail straight out, you will run right into the bridge. So we're walking, and I have my little Yorkie with me, and it was Cherie's first time out there. So, we're taking our time, we're looking at everything. So we finally get close to the bridge. And for those of you who haven't been there, in the past couple of years, they've worked on the bridge and they've redone it. So they've redone the first part of the bridge out to like the very first platform. And then it's got new decking on the trestles. It's all new wood, and then it's enclosed with a fence, like a wrought iron fence around it, so you can't go further across the bridge. So as we're getting closer, I'm looking at Cherie and I'm going, did they climb the fence? Did they climb over the fence? Are they crossing the bridge? And she's like, I don't know. So we're watching, and we get closer and closer, and sure as crap, they are. They climbed over the wrought iron and they're crossing the bridge. So at first I was like, damn it, I wish I would have been closer. I would have gone with them. And so we kind of just hang out there and we're watching, and they literally disappear. They get to the other end of the bridge, they disappear. They go down the hill, and we're like, shit. I'm thinking, okay, Brad Weber's about to come out on a 4-wheeler or something with the shotgun. So they go down the hill. So we're standing there and we're waiting. They finally reappear. They start coming back across, and it's about this time that we realize that they're both intoxicated. And she's got her shoes in her hand. She had like flip-flops on, and she's walking across the bridge barefoot, and he's helping her. And of course, she falls right through the trestles, like one leg up and one leg through.
Oh my gosh,
Drops her
now I'm
phone.
never gonna
Yes,
cross this fucking bridge, man. You just
she
fucked me up.
was drunk.
There's
She
no
was drunk. And me and Cherie are like, holy shit. Like she almost was straddling a trestle, like one leg through. She drops her phone through the trestles all the way down to the ground. Luckily, they weren't over top of the water. They hadn't gotten that far across yet. So now she's like, her ankles are cut up. She's like, oh my God. And he's so supportive. He's like, babe, I got you. Babe, I got you. And me and Cherie are like, oh shit. So I'm telling you, if me and Cherie hadn't stood there and waited, I don't think he would have been able to get her back over the railing, because right where that railing is, there's like 2 or 3 wood trestles that are missing. So there's a huge gap. So not only are you stepping across this huge gap in the bridge, you've got to climb over this railing. So we helped her back over the railing. He's like, babe, I got you. I'm going to go get your phone. So he goes clear back across the bridge, down the hill, and she's yelling over the railing, I love you. And he's yelling back, I love you. And he finds her phone, but he can't get back up the hill. So he's now on the other side of the creek, taking off his shoes and rolling up his jeans, and he has to come back across through the creek. So there's the funny story.
bitch, you got me fucked up if you think I'm gonna cross that bridge when we go there. There's no way.
I
would
have to
have
cross it.
Delphi's finest come rescue me. I would get vertigo and just like freeze in the middle. Well, I probably shouldn't say that because that's like disqualifying in a lot of things that I do. But I would get vertigo for real. I would just be like, nope, can't do it. And I would just freeze. It would be too dangerous to walk back. It would be too dangerous to stand up. And Delphi's finest would have to come rescue my ass from that damn bridge.
Oh my God, we were dying laughing. And there was some guy, because there was a bunch of people out there that day. And right after it all happened, and we finally were like, okay, she's okay. He's okay. He's coming across the creek. There was a guy walking up with a big tripod and a camera. And he's like looking at us. So we kind of like give him the lowdown about what just happened. He was like, that's some true love. We were like, really? So that was the funny story.
If you ain't jumping off a bridge to get me back my cell phone, I don't want it.
Oh my gosh. We were like, oh my God. Oh my God. It was funny. Well, all right, guys, it's 10 till 10. It's a work night for me. So I'm going to let everybody go. Let me check the poll. So, wow.
87% innocent, 4% guilty, which are the lurkers. Hello, guys. And undecided 8%. You know
Yeah.
what? I am 99.999% sure that Richard Allen is innocent, but I don't know. You never, no one knows. I mean, I'm sure there's people that know. I bet you Michael Osberg knows a lot more than us, and like people have seen the discovery, but I don't know anything for 100%.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty, I mean, I expect that with, our group of great people that come here and chit chat with us. But even the 4% who think he's guilty, it's okay. I simply, I think that we need a real trial. We need a fair trial. We need third party suspects to be allowed. We need that evidence to come in. And then I think that we will all sleep better at night, first and foremost for Abby and Libby's sake, and also for Richard Allen's sake. So, yeah. So, guys, please, thanks. You're welcome, you guys. I don't think I pinned it. The link to join. I know some people were having problems becoming a member on their iPhone. So all you have to do is go to the homepage of the channel and copy and paste the URL into your browser, and then hit the backslash and then type in join, and that should bring it right up. But we're going to start trying to do several lives, private, like membership lives, a couple times a month. Blah, I can't talk. The last one that we did was really fun. We had a good time. So we'll get those going, and I will keep you guys all posted on Sergio and where he's at in his progress of analyzing Ron Logan's videos. And if any of you here, let me put my email in the chat. If any of you if you've got any kind of video that you think is lengthy enough, I mean, he can use video or he can use transcripts. But if you have any kind of, I've been searching for anything of Brad Holder, and I've only been able to find his one little short that he did. But if anybody has anything from Brad Holder saved and could send it to me for Sergio, that would be great. And Rhonda, I will give you Sergio's email.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for coming over tonight.
You're welcome.
I'm sure.
Can I
go
just
ahead.
say one thing really quick?
Sure.
I think Kathy, one of the mods in the chat, has been dropping the link to mine and Cherie's channel. And I've been kind of dropping it as well. But normally we cover, 99% of the time, we cover wrongful conviction of Daniel Holtzclaw, former Oklahoma City police officer. Anyway, we do that most of the time. But I've had several people that I know asking if they want our opinions on the Karen Reed trial. I know this is about Richard Allen, and I apologize. So anyway, this Sunday, it's looking like I put a poll up on my community page over on my channel, and so far it looks like we might be just having a chat. about with opinions and stuff like that, the Karen Reed 2.0. So if anybody's interested in hanging out and hearing our non-professional opinions and ideas, then that's what we're going to do this Sunday, I think. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rhonda. And I don't have a YouTube channel. I mean, obviously, I have a handle, but I don't have a channel to put in the chat. No one subscribed to me. I'm a loser, baby.
They
If
come
you want to
looking
hear
for
from
you.
me, this is
Yeah.
where you got to go.
Yeah. All right,
I don't
guys,
even have enough
please.
people to go live.
Oh God, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that they do have that.
I've got like 3
stipulation.
people, and I don't even know why they subscribe to me. That's weird.
So, guy, on the way out, hit that like button. I'm sure we'll be live sometime this weekend. I got to get another live in for Ashley. We did get an update. The Attorney General was given an extension to file their response to John Pinno's brief. That will be due May 21st. So May 21st, as of right now, is the deadline. So, and I'm waiting on the transcripts for the post-conviction hearing. So we have those in entirety. And then I will probably we'll probably be reading the brief that the Attorney General files as well. So,
And don't forget our series with Sergio. Woo woo.
right. Yes, I'll keep you guys posted with that. But thank you all so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a good conversation. I love playing with the maps, and I love talking about all the little things, all the little details that really matter. So if you're on the replay crew, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe, leave a question, leave a comment. I always try to answer. Good night, everybody. Happy Friday early. Enjoy your weekend.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.